What am I doing?
Welcome to Turbo Brain. The conference is in presentation mode. Your line is muted. The conference will begin when the host arrives. You are now a host. This call is being recorded. Line unmuted.
All right, everybody, we are here tonight. Sorry about that. Glad to be here. We are trying to do a interview on video and audio, so get ready for that. All right, and I'm guessing I can be heard on there, so thank you for being with us. I sent Daryl Paul the video link again. I might have sent you the wrong one because you're not on there yet, but you might try and see what's going on with all that. There we go. All right, so good to be here tonight, and welcome everybody. We're going to be talking about the Antichrist tonight, and maybe some things you've never heard of. We'll see whether you have or not. It's going to be very interesting. So get ready for kind of some new stuff. Just kind of trying to start from the beginning and get everything correct so that we can help everybody understand what is coming and where we're going and what's about to happen. See if I got Daryl Paul on here with me tonight. Daryl, are you there?
I'm here, Randy. Still have me muted on Turbo though.
Yes. Oh, I need to unmute you on Turbo. Good. Yeah. Good idea. Let me do that here. Let's see, which one are you? Here we go, Daryl Paul. All right, so I got you unmuted now. And can you want to talk to there and just make sure you got you?
Okay, let's make sure you can still hear me right there through there.
All right, gotcha.
All right.
And then, of course, I've got you turned off on my end. And I think that's the way we had it. Last time we were working on learning how to do this. And we get better a little bit every time. So thank you for your patience with us, with me mainly. And yeah, so really, really cool. All right. All right. Cool. All right. Awesome. So tonight we're going to be talking about the Antichrist and the system that he's going to have. Not the system he's going to have, but the way he's going to, how you're going to be able to recognize him and know who he is and all that. So really, really great. I think we do have you on, right?
Yes, I'm still on.
Okay, you are on, and we have your audio up. Good. Okay. Awesome. So we're here. All right. So we're going to be getting to that in just a moment here, as Daryl Paul will be helping me kind of do an interview style, kind of a new thing that we're doing on PGN to try to make things really clear to people so that we won't have people maybe who are just kind of getting started with us can get some basic understanding. So we're trying to going down a notch as far as some things, and we're explaining who the Antichrist is. Basically, without the fact that the Lord gave me His name, we're going to kind of like work around that right now, just kind of as a generalization of who He is and why He is, why His family, Him and His family, are the perfect pick, even in the natural realm. You're going to see that, I think. That's what we're going to try to share with you and kind of help you understand why. Um, a lot of people have a lot of guesses and a lot of research on the Antichrist. Like I did many years ago. I did research on who the Antichrist was. I think everybody kind of wants to know. That's kind of an interesting thing to know. And so, yeah, so we are going to dive into that tonight a little bit. So, welcome to the show tonight. We're glad to have you. It's Monday night, so it may take a little bit for people to kind of get in here. And we normally come on at 9 o'clock. So, but one thing about it is we're going to have this documented, not only documented, but you can go to the archive and listen to it. That's going to be cool. All right, so we are going to be, you'll be able to go to the archives on YouTube, Facebook, whatever you listen to on, whatever your favorite one is, you can be able to get on there. Okay, Nicole says the sound is great on YouTube. All right, thank you, Nicole, for that. Actually, I started out on last week's, on this restream thing. You have to be careful because you'll if you're not watching.
It only went off for a second, Randy. I'm still here. No, I can still hear you on turbo.
Hello, 1 2 3 4. There it is. Okay, I'm on. I'm on again. All right. I don't know how they got muted. Daryl Paul, you playing with my mute button?
Not at all, Randy. I saw the, I heard the mute
I can't
about
even
a
hear
minute ago.
on this. Hang on a second here. I'm still trying to get my stuff going on here. Okay. Okay, I now have on. Are you there, Daryl Paul?
Can you hear me, Randy?
I can. So I finally got my. I had my headset. I use my headset for this because it sounds so much better, and plus we're trying to make sure we're really clear on everything. So how's everything on your end so far?
So far, I can hear you on Restream and I can hear you on the Turbo Bridge. I'm on my headset as well. So if anyone else, or anyone can't hear, please let us know, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Give us a text or shoot us a text or get on YouTube or Facebook or Twitch, Twitter, whatever you get on, and let us know because we will not be able to know we're messed up. got Nicole watching out for us tonight. Thank God for that. So that's going to help a lot. So that's really, really, really good. All right. So our sound woman is on the move tonight, working with us. Tomorrow night, Nicole will be with me, doing the interview style on some other things that we're going to be talking about, mainly about kind of what the Jewish people expect of the Messiah, what they're looking for, and we're going to show you how uh, Nathaniel Rothschild plays that role pretty well. He's kind of lines up with that, and we're going to talk about that tomorrow night. And so, but tonight we're not really going to focus on Nathaniel as much as we are just the Antichrist in general. So, so there you go on that one. All right. So um, now we are on. Okay, so I want to make sure I'm on the right one here. I have so many of these, y'all. We're going to go through a lot of information, and we're going to download all kinds of stuff for you guys to get a hold of. And like I say, it will be documented. It will be recorded and documented so that we can go back and listen to them. A lot of details. We're going to be given a lot of details on things that it may not be specifically uh, exactly to the exact detail of every little thing, but we're giving you a general overall view of what the specific details are about. Like we have the name of the Antichrist. We have there's a lot of things that we've had words from the Lord for, but what we're doing right now is we're going through and we are talking about some specifics on how those words are going to work out. Kind of like one of these nights we're going to talk about the regime change in Iran, and we're going to talk about that a little bit and kind of let people know how important that is to the end times and the temple. In fact, what's going on in Syria right now, I don't know if you guys keep up with any of that or not, but what's going on in Syria right now is, also has to do with building the temple. And so what they're trying to do is establish peace. They've got to have peace. One of the reasons that all this stuff's important to understand is that if the temple is going to be built, which is very much tells us our timeline, pretty close timeline to where we are at, because they're going to be building that temple. It's very obvious to almost every person that I know, every theologian, that the temple, when it's being built and that starts being activated, we're right around the corner from the second coming. I mean, that's an obvious biblical thing. And so, so the reason that we're going to be talking about Syria and Iran and why they are, Israel is in the midst of taking Iran's regime down, and giving the Iranian people a chance to rise up and vote for, a different government. They've been under that government since 1970, 46 years, something like that. A long time to be oppressed by a murdering bunch of thieves. So it's really sad that they've been under that for so long. So our prayers are going to be answered. A lot of things are happening with that. I will talk about that later. Because the reason it's important for you to know that is because it was Syria and with Iran having regime change, which is an obvious thing happening right now. It's not just going to be, we're not prophesying it anymore. We prophesied it about 13, 14 months ago. And now it's literally physically being done, So it's really exciting. And all this stuff tells us one thing. It tells us that we're close to the second coming. We don't have a day or an hour, but we are very close to the second coming. And because once Israel gets peace, once that Syria is going to be dealt with, Damascus, and we're going to talk about the promises of land that they have from Abraham, how Syria is part of that. I don't know about Damascus specifically, but Syria, which is all around Damascus there. Actually, Damascus isn't Syria, but the land around Syria there is for sure part of the land that belongs to Israel from the promises of Abraham. And so we're going to talk about all this stuff and how this is actually in the process of happening. So the regime change in Iran is a really, really big thing of having a friend in Israel where they don't threaten the United States with trying to murder us all. And also with Syria, the fact that they can have a regime there that will be peaceful with Israel so that they can easily build a temple. And so this is already all developing. And we're looking at the same time all this is happening. The Texas, I think Daryl, I think we talked about this last night, where the Texas depository, the bullion depository, and the way that they're approving of the the approval of using gold and silver as currency. That's a really, really, really big move for any state to make. To get approvals have a bullion depository, that's not a big deal. But to make laws to where you can use that as like a debit card or use it as money is extremely big. People don't realize that. And so that is all actually happening too. And the same time that's going to be happening, it's going to be a pretty close time they're going to be building the temple. So the Texas hub, the financial hub for not only Texas and for the United States, but for the globe, for the people in the globe that want this. There's going to have Antichrist people who are against Christ, who are not going to want our system. They're going to reject it. That's going to have the China, Russia, all those guys. That's going to be the Antichrist system. We're going to talk soon. I think, are we going to talk about that tonight? I think we are going to talk about tonight. Oh yeah. How that when the is this on this one? No, that's on the next one. Okay.
Right. I've
Yeah.
been a little hype, Randy. Okay.
Yeah, sorry. I was just I'm trying to put all this stuff in order so we can get it down in order, and we have a lot of questions to answer. Thank you, Daryl. Hallelujah. Yeah, so we're going to talk about could the Antichrist come from elite banking families? We're just kind of work that a little bit, even though I know where it's going to come from, but I want to kind of put it in a way that everyday ordinary people who have not really been listening to us and maybe not believe that I have that information, at least they can get an understanding of why it's more likely going to be an elite banking family that's going to be the Antichrist, who's going to run the global. He's going to run the global financial. Well, that's what the mark of the beast is all about, right? You're familiar with the mark of the beast, right? A little bit.
Oh, me, Randy?
The financial part of it.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So that's why we're going to talk about it being an elite banking family that is going to be. We do mention the Rothschilds and all this, of course, but we're not naming Nathaniel and all of it tonight. Just the Rothschild family as a banking family, and why we're going to look at them very, very strong on being the Antichrist, because he's going to have an elite, amazing system that he's going to be working with China and Russia and Chinese. China already has a system for, that they could, if the dollar falls apart tomorrow. We already talked about this. If the dollar was to fall apart tomorrow, and that they would immediately have a tried and tested system that would work pretty good. But when we tell you what's going to happen when the Rothschilds join with them, oh wow, you're going to understand some. We're going to talk about that soon, so get ready for that. Yeah, because they're going to when the Antichrist joins up, who is a banking heritage, big time, joins up with China and Russia, Daryl, it's going to be crazy. I mean, it's going to be powerful. They're definitely going to have some power here. So Texas and all of our stuff is going to be it's really going to be good, and we're going to talk about the details. Okay, Daryl, let's. So could the Antichrist come from an elite banking family? That's kind of a lot of stuff going on with that. So whenever you're ready.
Okay. So you ready to start? We can go ahead right now, Randy.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, Peter.
Okay. So many researchers have speculated that the Antichrist might emerge from powerful banking dynasties like the Rothschilds. How would that scenario fit the biblical profile we've discussed?
Yeah, that's really what a lot of people. I remember back in the day, I used to research, to try to find who the Antichrist might be, and I ran across the Rothschilds just like everybody else did, and other bankers, big bankers. Some of you might know some of the big bankers that have been around a long time. And but it's actually a fascinating possibility that fits several biblical criteria perfectly. I mean, several biblical criteria perfectly. You got to think about it. These families already have global financial infrastructure, and they've had it for a long time, right? Global financial infrastructure, international connections, no doubt, and the resources to solve worldwide economic crises. They've had a huge head start on the problem solving phase that we discussed, about the banking systems and all that. So there you go. So that's
Okay.
why they really have a head start on a lot of it. And when they get together with China and Russia, with China's system, and he puts his stuff together with theirs, wow, it's gonna be strong.
Okay. How would someone from that background rise to political power?
Yeah, to political power. Yeah, that's the well, they wouldn't need to climb the traditional political ladder, right? Like most people do. Uh, we're talking about people like the Rothschilds that are elite banking people. During a global financial collapse, which we've been kind of discussing that about the crash of the dollar, um, a banking heir, right, like Nathaniel, who could restore economic stability would be seen as humanity's savior right away, right? Because they've dealt with all these things before. They've helped finance wars. I'm sure some of you guys are familiar with that. They've helped finance a lot of things. Countries that were in war, they we'll talk about that later, but they've done a lot of this stuff. So people would practically beg them to take political control. So they don't really have to do the regular traditional political ladder thing, climbing the ladder, being a politician. They're already set up, and so people would just really just beg them to take political control.
Wow. Okay, that's a little scary. So,
Yeah,
what advantages would a banking family, um, background provide?
right. What would a background provide? Yeah, well, enormous ones, actually. That's why this is so important that people get a hold of this. First, they'd understand global financial systems better than any politician, right? Politicians hire people to do this stuff. These guys have done this and been in it. Secondly, they'd have existing relationships with world leaders, right? Central banks and major corporations, right? Third, they'd have the resources to implement solutions immediately, not just promise them, but actually have solutions because they've already walked through this stuff, Daryl Paul. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Okay. Um, how does this fit the little horn description from Daniel, the book of Daniel?
Right, because a little hand, if those who are familiar with that, um, know that the little horn represents when the Antichrist rises up because he starts out little, right? All right, so it's a perfect fit. They might not be the public head of the family initially, especially Nathaniel. Nathaniel just became the head of his family. His father passed away what, a year ago, a year and a half
A
ago, something
little
like
over a
that.
year ago, right?
Okay, thank you. A little over a year. Yeah, exactly. So he just became the head of the family, right? He hasn't really had starting out kind of little in a sense. His father was huge. Jacob Rothschild was huge, but okay. Uh, so they might not. You know, he hasn't been the head of the family until recently. Maybe a younger member or someone not expected to lead, which you know, Nathaniel's been kind of questionable if you know him, know about him. But when crisis hits and the obvious choices fail, which they will fail, this little horn emerges with the knowledge and resources to save the global economy. Because it's not only is it in his blood, but he's watched his father and his grand and they sat around the dinner table and talk about how to save countries, how to provide for one country to fight against another country and make sure the one wins that they want to win, if you know what I'm saying. So this is just in their blood, man. Yeah. So
Hmm.
yeah. So the little horn is really the fact. One of the ways it fits in is because Nathaniel, especially, has really been he just not got in control, right? Until you're actually in control, you really don't know what it's like to be in control. So he just now
Right.
got that. He just got started. Yeah.
Okay. What would their phase one problem solving look like?
Yeah. Phase one, problem solving. Because that's the thing they're going to do. That's what they spent their whole life doing. They have worked with countries, nations, banks. They have helped the Queen. We've talked about this before. How they've helped finance the Queen in England, and a lot of every nation in the world basically has been financed by these people. So you got to imagine this scenario: major global economic failures hit. in some form or the other, right? Because we're talking about these people are bankers. We're talking about economic, which is going to be is a thing most people fear is economic failure. Currencies are failing. Let's say people can't buy food, right? Suddenly, a member of a banking dynasty steps forward with a new global financial system that actually works, or works it with China and Russia. And we're going to talk more about that later, how they're going to work with Russia and China with the systems that they kind of already have going. So they restore order by doing that. When they're going to come in with China and Russia, Russia and China has some pretty cool things as far as, you know, major countries. So Nathaniel comes in, or the Rothschilds come in, and they restore order. They put it all together. Russia and China stuff. And other countries, they put their financial things together in one package. And so once they restore order, it enables commerce again, you know, for things to function and literally save civilization, which is what they've done all their lifetime. You know, they've always gone around saving civilization in one way or the other. So it's nothing new for them. Who wouldn't trust them with more power because of this?
Mm. That
Who
would
wouldn't
put
trust them?
them. That would put them in a good position for what's to come. Then, okay.
Yeah.
Um, let's see. So, how would they handle the religious aspect?
Well, you know, banking families operate internationally and diplomatically, so they're very diplomatic. They go into other countries, right? They'd likely present themselves as religious neutral, which we know that's what they're going to do, right? That like I think I've heard Nicole talk about this before, and others, and maybe you too, about how the Catholic religion is going to, not the religion, but the leaders are going to are going to make everybody good. I think you sent me a video on that, right?
Many times, Randy. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just trying to remind everybody that we talked about this before,
Yes.
and Daryl Paul has brought that up to me. So they will say stuff like, "We respect all faiths and want to bring peace between them," right? Because they already deal with all this stuff. See, the amazing part that people don't realize about this in a practical, very uh, already done it way, with a lot of experience, they know how to work. They're very diplomatic, right? That's what makes them so smart and so able. When the right time comes, they just step right in, and everybody knows that they've handled this stuff over and over again. Anybody that knows them in their realm knows these people have handled all this stuff many times before. We're really desperate. We need help, so they let them come in. So they respect all faiths. They bring peace between those faiths. They might even fund the temple building. I think they already actually have done that. They've been funding the temple rebuilding in Jerusalem as a gesture of goodwill toward all Abrahamic religions, you know, the Abrahamic religions, right? Especially, so you can see where their diplomacy with religions, they know how to handle them. They know how to say, okay, you guys believe this and these guys believe this, but so what we won't let anybody do is we won't let anybody come on to make everybody happy. We won't let anybody like Randy Chandler or Daryl Paul come on and say Jesus is the only way to the Father. We won't let them say that. Okay, is that going to make y'all happy? Well, okay, something like that. Something like that.
Okay. Okay. What about the supernatural abilities in phase two?
Yeah, because phase two, there's what we're talking about tonight is phase one and phase two of the Antichrist. Phase one is where he comes in as a regular guy. Not a regular guy. He's not a regular guy. The bloodline that he has, the experience that he's had, he's very smart. He's very crafty. He knows how to be a diplomat. So here's where it gets really interesting for phase two, because phase two is where Satan enters into him. Right. That's where it really gets really bad. So these families often have access to cutting edge technology. Right. They already do. That seems miraculous to average people. Right. Most people don't understand this stuff. When Satan possesses Nathaniel, he could use both supernatural powers and advanced technology to create signs and wonders that appear absolutely divine. So it's not only the power of Satan, but when he gets possessed by Satan, which he will, but also they will. He's in it. Satan is going to possess a human being who's already familiar with all these things and has people that he can work with that know how to work, technology to create signs and wonders. They're already working on all this stuff. They got all this stuff basically worked out already. They're gonna be very deceitful, very powerful. They're gonna create signs and wonders that appear absolutely divine. And to the most people, not everybody's going to go for it. We're not going to go for it, hopefully, but most people would go for it. Daryl Paul, they're going to really dazzle people.
Wow. Okay. Would you happen to know from phase 1 to phase 2 how long that may be, or we don't have that information yet?
Well, I don't have it. I don't have.
Right. Okay. Right, right. And it kind of makes sense, Randy, because people speak of the 7-year tribulation, but only those I guess the second 3.5 years, there's going to be a lot of turmoil when as you just mentioned, when the Antichrist turns, and then he's pretty much against everybody that doesn't take the mark. Um, I guess that's just from my memory. But if you have something different about that, please let us know. Ooh. Okay, Randy, can you still hear me on Restream? Yeah. I'm on. I'm on. Can you hear me? Yes. Thank you for answering. I did get disconnected. Thank you. And I did hear the tail end of that, but yeah. On Restream, you don't hear me on Restream? Oh, that's strange. Okay.